let's start with our next proceeding. And now for the next plenary session, we have on the topic of fostering regional tourism's potential, collaboration, innovation, sustainability, and beyond, which is powered by Visa. But before we start this session, first I would like to call upon MD Nasimul Islam, the Director, Government Engagement, South Asia of Visa, for his opening remark. Nasimul Islam joined Visa as a Government Engagement Director for Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. Based in Dhaka, he works very closely with developing and executing strategies to advance businesses' priorities in the market. In addition to leading regulatory and government engagement, Mr. Nasimul also helps to coordinate Visa's efforts with respect to public policy, social impact, and related matters. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome here on stage MD Nasimul Islam for his opening remarks.
I've been given the most difficult task after the lunch. I won't take much of your time, so I'll go very quickly. So, first of all, again, good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me in today's event, then speak in front of the Emirates dignitaries. I am Mohammad Nasimul Islam, as our host already explained, that I look after this government engagement solution, government engagement initiative, public policies for Visa in Nepal, Bangladesh, and Bhutan. So, as you already know, that Visa is the global payment company, global payment technology company. So, Visa is a long-term commitment and investment in Nepal. So, and we have deeply committed to the growth of digital infrastructure, payment, financial inclusion, and tourism in the country. And definitely, we are very proud to be the official supporting partner of the 4th Himalayan Travel Mart 2023. So again, I won't take much of your time, just a quick recap of what we can do and the share. So first one is a bit statistical, so sorry for the number. I know as an expert in this field, you all are aware about these numbers. So according to the latest World Bank report, so the tourism industry in Nepal contributing more than 6.7% of the country's GDP, which in 2021 is contribute around 2.5 billion USD solely from this tourism sector. So in addition to that, over 1 million direct and indirect job opportunity created within this space. So most of these jobs are mostly, what should I say, is in the remote and resource-constrained region. And more than 85% of the tourists that visit Nepal, so they love to go the country's wealth of natural resources, including snow-capped mountain, abundant rivers, and forests. So on the second note, the tourism industry in Nepal is undergoing a very significant transformation in digitization. So Nepal is also streamlining the digital policies that attract the more tourists to become more easy, hassle-free, and convenient journey. So again, I would like to thank the Nepal Tourism Board. So in 2021, so they come up with this advancement of the marketing tool to promote the Nepal in front of the world. And from this commitment, from this event, and as well as the commitment from the government of Nepal, it is clear that Nepal is focusing more on the tourism. So now it's a matter of time to build the gap between the ICT implementation and the digital ecosystem of Nepal, so that's gonna fast track the entire journey. So again, so we can't ignore the contribution of the private sector in Nepal. So private sector in Nepal is doing a tremendous job. So by introducing and the ease barrier of the payment technologies and the payment platform using social media to promote their different services and offer in front of the other part of the world. So most interestingly, I would like to recall one documentary from Netflix. So I don't know whether you have seen it. So it's called the 14th Peak, Nothing is Impossible. That has been the teaser to the world that what Nepal can offer at a glance. As being a payment expert and from the payment industry, I would like to highlight few things that is, if we can resolve the problem that it gonna fly the digital tourism and the tourism ecosystems, is the ambition that we are having that it's gonna fly. So one is the constant international payment limit. So what it does the customer for the very first day, if there is any constraint in the payments, when you are going to book any tourism services and the other parts, if they face the bottleneck from the very day one, they're not going to invest in that space. So that's the one of the core area that tourism industry for Nepal is suffering. And there is another thing, remove of the restrictions of the payment and promoting e-commerce, debit, credit card to promote the local tourism in front of the others part of the world. So despite this constraint, no doubt, so our tourism industry is much digitized, and the commitment that we received and the see from the government as the PM was there, so it's gained more popularity among the global travelers. That's why we all are here. So finally, I would like to thank Ministry of Cultural Tourism and Civil Aviation, Government of Nepal, PATA, Nepal Tourism Board, Nepali Airlines Corporation, and other prominent associates that you all came today throughout different part of the world to make this happen very successful. So I won't take much of your time. Now let's hear from the expert in this field in our next panel discussion. Thank you all.
Thank you so much to MD Nasimul Islam. And now to present with a token of appreciation, may I please call upon stage the Honorary Treasurer of PATA Nepal Chapter, Mr. Khemraz Lekhai. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a big round of applause for MD Nasimul Islam. Now we're moving on to the session, and we have 4 different speakers for this session. The number 1 speaker is Mr. Shahid Hamid. He's the chairman of PATA Bangladesh chapter, followed by Mr. Dimitri Kure. He's the chairman of PATA Sri Lanka chapter. Next, we have Ms. Srijana Rana. She is the executive director of Hotel Annapurna, immediate present chairman, president of Hotel Association Nepal Han, and the president of Nepal India Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Followed by, we have Mr. Shivek Sachdev. He's the Vice President of Thai Travel Agent Association and a Managing Director of OMZ Experience. And to moderate this session, we have Mr. Deepak Raj Joshi, who is the Director General. Mr. Deepak Raj Joshi has the 18+ years of work experience in destination management, tourism promotion, and public-private partnerships. His contribution to tourism recovery to Nepal post-2015 earthquake was highly noted. Mr. Joshi has been awarded the highest IIPT Champions in Challenge Award 2018 from International Institutes for Peace through Travel and Tourism in London, UK. He is the first Nepali to receive this award. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome all our speakers and the moderator of this session on the foresting regional tourism potential, collaboration, innovation, sustainability, and beyond.
As the recovering our tourism from post-COVID, because the theme we will be talking about regional tourism reviving and reinvigorating after the post-COVID scenario. Introduction is already made, though the panel that we have doesn't need any introduction. They all are very well-known leaders of our tourism industry who are inspiring the industry through their impactful initiatives. Without much delay, I would like to directly go into the session. In this session, we will be talking about the challenges and the opportunities that lies in our region. The region means we will be talking about the different countries in our South Asia and Southeast Asia region. During this 1 hour of time, we will be trying to explore what are the opportunities there, what we need to do So in that line, from the expert panelists, we'll be hearing. I would like to start from Sri Lanka, our friend Dimitri Kure. At present, what is your experience that in our region, what is there? I mean, in buying side and supply side, what is the existing situation of regional tourism now, from Sri Lankan perspective?
So, when it comes to Sri Lankan's perspective with the regional tourism, obviously for us, India is our #1 source market. And in the last 10 years or so, the Indian arrival numbers have been increasing. And most of our hotels in Sri Lanka have been catering mainly before to the Western clientele. So the properties and our offerings were mainly to the Western clientele, and our beach properties especially, but to the Indian clientele and regionally, Nepal, Bangladesh, so on. People aren't expecting, they don't come to spend too much time on the beach. They're looking for other activities, the culture, history, nature, and so on. So Sri Lanka at the moment, we have a diverse offering when it comes to within a very short distance, you can travel to different parts of the island, beaches, mountains, everything is a few hours drive, and we have the wildlife. So when it comes to our offering, we have multiple, and also, especially to the Indian market, we attract them to Colombo, to the casinos. They come in, that has been picking up also, where they fly in on a Friday night, because we have very good connectivity to India, especially Sri Lankan Airlines flies to multiple destinations. In addition, we have the Indian carriers coming to Colombo, so that has really helped us with the regional market and position in the country.
Thank you. You mentioned about the existing products that you are offering, and you mentioned about the India as the largest market for Sri Lanka. So have you considered other markets like Bangladesh, like Nepal, like other markets also as a potential market for Sri Lanka?
So definitely the regional, I think what's important now is Sri Lankan Airlines as the national carrier is having direct flights to Dhaka, Kathmandu, and of course, and to Maldives and other regional countries. So that connectivity has really helped us. Bangladesh is one market that is really picking up to Sri Lanka. Nepal, we are slowly seeing numbers. I think there are a lot of Sri Lankans who visit Nepal for the pilgrimages, especially to Lumbini, but not many have come experiencing what Nepal has to offer, the adventure. And there was, in 2018, the first ever Sri Lankan climbed Mount Everest, which also got a lot of publicity. So hopefully now more and more people will come to experience this. Plus, we also would like to have more Nepalis coming to Sri Lanka and experiencing what we have to offer also.
Thank you. We'll come again. And now I would like to come to our friend from Bangladesh, Mr. Aziz. What is your experience, what is your observation about regional tourism from Bangladesh perspective? Mr. Azaz has 6 minutes of presentation. Based on that presentation, he will highlight the Bangladesh insights.
Namaskar, good afternoon, and Assalamu alaikum. What a great grand opening yesterday. Nobody does need to say anything. When the Honorable Prime Minister of Nepal himself was the chief guest, that says it all, that how importance he and his government attached to the tourism promotion. I'd like to congratulate each and everyone involved in this, organizing this Himalaya Travel Mart 23. And I'd like to salute Pata Nepal chapter. There is always an advantage to be the first speaker, second, third, and fourth, because you say it all. And when it comes to 10th, 11th speaker, you have nothing left rather to repeat. So pardon me for that. We don't need to talk about COVID because there are positive things of COVID. We have learned quite a bit of things. That is past, that is gone. We learned so much thing, probably scientists or human beings would have to work for another 4 or 5 years to invent those. Online shopping, digital meetings, virtual meetings, work from office, saving a lot of money from the overseas trips, looking after the family, things like that. So the impact we all know. When we started picking up in 2021 Q3, here comes the war of Ukraine. It does give a different perspective. The cost of living, the inflation, the dollar, local currency devaluation against dollar, price of the gasoline, and increase of the airfare, so on and so forth. We all know about it. So current outlook, the whole World Health Organization declared end of COVID-19. 2022 has shown comeback to the industry, although it was not pre-pandemic level. World Tourism Council, Oxford Economic Research, UN Secretary General commented on his special message that tourism can be an effective weapon to change the world economy. Very rightly said. As the people say there, you need 7 attractions, tourist attraction to promote tourism. And those 7 are seasonal variation, river, sea, mountain, history, cultural heritage, and forest. And they also says, if you have one of these, you are good to promote your tourism. If you have got 2, you are better. And more than 2 is the best. And interesting to note that the Southeast Asian region, including the SAARC, has got all those criteria to promote tourism. And what we need is the political commitment, the one that we undoubtedly got yesterday. On the end note, some of the statistics. Bangladesh has got 170 million population. Out of that, 4.6 million travels out, and interesting, 2.9 million to India. 500,000 to Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. Only 100,000 tourists travel to Nepal, Bhutan, and Maldives. But outbound market of India is much bigger. Bangladesh enjoys a share fair of the Indian market as well. I think I omitted one more slide. Never mind. The world population is 8 billion, out of which 60% is in Asia, Southeast Asia. Out of that, 25% population are in SAARC countries. And there where we need to cash. The real market is here. What are we waiting for? The current buzzword in the government arena is to promote tourism, you need PPP, private-public partnership. But I will call it PPCP, public, private, and community partnership. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Hamid, for your insightful presentation. Many of us, we don't know that for India, Bangladesh is the largest source market, 2.9 million visitors per year, right? So that's why we are trying to explore what are the opportunities within the region there. Last time I was Googling some information, I find very surprising facts. India, we have 25 million of outbound. Sri Lanka, we have nearly 2 million outbound. Bangladesh, nearly 4 million outbound. From Nepal, it is 1.5 million. So similarly, we have, I think, more than 35 million outbound market we have. But in terms of receiving from inbound segment, we have less than 20 million visitors, despite having the whole world within this region, it is true that we are not being able to tap the potential that we have, and that's why we are discussing in this very relevant theme today. And now I'm coming to Madam Srijana Rana. She is a leading personality. She headed HAN, Hotel Association Nepal, also serving as a president, NIKI, Nepal India Chamber of Commerce, and also a leader of Joanta Initiative. So I would like to ask Madam Srijana to just share your observation and insights. What is your read on our current situation of regional tourism?
Thank you so much, Deepak. So regional tourism in Nepal has been in practice for many, many years from the time I remember. Earlier, it used to be Nepal, India. Now, then it became Sri Lanka. Then now we see a lot of tourists coming into Nepal from Bangladesh as well. So this explains that the regional tourism in Nepal has really been in practice. And I think even from Bhutan, we do get, but in a very small number. And we also know that the South Asia is the world's earliest civilization, and while being densely populated. So one can already understand all the reason why tourism has a lot of prospect in this part of the world. So we also, religiously, culturally, we are intertwined in language, religion, ethnicity. So these are the reasons why we see that there's a lot of movements in these 4 countries when it comes to tourism. Now, we also focus very much on the adventure tourism, then we focus on the religious, cultural tourism, and then we focus on many more, the religious circuits and things like that. There's a lot of interest even in the cuisine because, we have very similar taste when it comes to our palates. So the cuisine is also something that we really tend to exchange between these countries. So there is a huge potential here when it comes to the regional tourism. So for Nepal, I must say that it has been in practice for many, many years. We rely a lot in our regional tourism. So there's a huge potential, and I feel we can grow. Now, coming to tourism really in Nepal, I just want to take an opportunity to see, when you actually see the chart, Nepal has always moved, we've scaled upwards when you look at the statistics. So it was during the earthquake time that we took a dip. Then it just took a year, then we bounced back again. So 2019 had been the best year of the tourism arrival in Nepal. Then unfortunately, the COVID situation has come about. We have now, I think, bounced back 50%. 2023 looks, very good at the moment. So what I feel is, there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of potential in, the regional tourism. So with that, I'll give the mic to you.
Thank you very much. We have another speaker from Thailand, Mr. Sivik Sasdev. He is Vice President of Thai Travel Agents Association. He's a tech guy, CEO of Taratera also. I would like to ask similar question. From Southeast Asia is a very, very strong market in this region while talking about tourism brand. How do you see, the regional tourism from your perspective? For example, just to mention about few data, in terms of just between Thailand and Nepal, I mean the Bangkok and Nepal, we receive nearly 25,000 visitors from Thailand, but from Nepal, it is more than 100,000. So Nepal is promoting so much in different cities of Thailand, but Thailand, I think you have never promoted as a destination in Nepal. So what is this? Just share your thoughts and insights.
Okay, yeah. Hey, hi everyone. So I'm put into quite a difficult situation. I mean, I don't have the numbers and the stats and the slides to, unfortunately, go through with you. Let me first clarify. I mean, it's not the fact that Thailand does not promote Nepal, right? So, I mean, my background was in the aviation industry. So I was running an airline in Thailand for Bhutan for quite a while before, COVID hit us, and then, everyone had to move on, right? So fortunately, I moved into tech. But infrastructure-wise, Thailand has always been really strong in terms of tourism, right? So there is a brand magnet there. If you actually look at it, Thailand hosts many of the very well-known brands, around the world. In Europe, the NH Hotel Group is actually owned by a minor group of companies in Thailand, right? So minor group is quite a large conglomerate, having assets and properties across the world. So that is one example which I would normally like to talk about, because once you have such a wide infrastructure and you have such a strong position, then you always have that ability to raise finance. You always have that ability to bounce back. You have that ability to recover quickly compared to your peers. Just to answer your questions about Nepal, right now, I was in the same situation, but representing Bhutan. Nobody in Thailand is promoting Bhutan, right? It's the same lopsided tourism. You can think of it that way, where you have little to nothing, less than the number of Nepal, which you mentioned, visiting Bhutan. On the other hand, you have in 100,000 plus Bhutanese visiting Thailand, right? Which is usually the case. And it's the same story with India as well. So I think, but what we can take on as a positive note right now is that for Thailand, Nepal has this magnet where now you see a lot of people from Thailand who are traveling to Nepal who has interest in trekking. Right, and that comes naturally. So for me, as a Thai citizen, although I don't look Thai, I'm pretty happy. I think tourism in Thailand has evolved. They are now more cultured, they're more learned. It means that apart from just going to Japan for a quick shopping trip, going to Taiwan for a quick cuisine trip, they are now exploring other options, Nepal being one of them. So for me, I think it will take time, and it's going to be a joint effort. Like our friend from Bangladesh has mentioned, it's going to be a joint effort both by the public and the private. Right? Which means the tourism organization here in Nepal will somehow have to work with Thailand, to push demands, to pull demands from Thailand into Nepal. On the other hand, you have like Thailand, such a strong NTO, such a strong tourism of Thailand is such a strong brand. Amazing Thailand is such a strong brand. So it's quite natural that you're having many Nepalese traveling to Thailand. I think that comes really naturally. So in terms of regional tourism, we didn't really talk about that much, but I hope I was able to answer your question about Nepal and Thailand, in terms of like movements between the two groups of tourists.
Thank you, Mr. Sivek. In the first round, we talked about what is the existing situation of regional tourism in this region. Now we will be talking about what are the new opportunities need to be explored and unleashed within this region to get more benefit. So to start with, from Sri Lanka, from your perspective, what kind of things you want to share? Like, for example, again, just to give one example, we received nearly 70,000 Sri Lankan visitors, but most of them, they are pilgrims only. So while talking about the product-wise offer, so many other things Nepal offers, luxury, adventure, many other things. But so far, it is only a kind of pilgrimage segments, the majority of the travelers. Similarly, maybe with the other countries also, it is same like that. So what new we can explore at this time?
Yeah, I think it's similar to what we were saying. Like, even in Sri Lanka, unfortunately, it's the same itinerary that is always been promoted mainly. A lot of the DMCs promote, so like some of the previous discussions as well. So then it's all about price, and it's very price driven. But I think even in Nepal state, Sri Lanka, there is so much more, and it's the responsibility of the hoteliers, the travel agents, and whoever who's promoting the destination to create different experiences and itineraries. So that has actually, in the last few years, there's been a new emergence of especially the under-travelers experiencing something very different. They'll come flying to Sri Lanka. Most of them, they haven't booked a single night. They land at the airport and then they decide, okay, so that type of tourism is also picking up, but we need to encourage people to experience different things and also not to overcrowd certain destinations. So in Sri Lanka, there are the popular sites like the Sigiriya Fortress, then the Yala National Park, which sadly sometimes gets over-visited, which results to the park, the animals, and so on. So, but Sri Lanka has about 8 other national parks as well. So it's about how you promote those, how you get that message across, plus get others to also experience different, different things. And it's very important to continuously keep on updating the offerings. So the newer destinations have to be promoted. Even, like you said, a lot of Sri Lankans come to Nepal, but they only come for the pilgrimages. They don't come for the adventure, the beautiful sites like in Pokhara, Kathmandu, then the wild national parks in Chitwan. So there's so much more, and it's how you, I think, promote. I think it was recently we had a fam tour from the Nepal Pata chapter coming to Sri Lanka. Majority came there for the first time. So it's important that one comes, visits, and explore different opportunities also.
Thank you. Now I would like to come to our friend from Bangladesh. So from your observation, what need we need to do to explore and to unleash the potential in this region?
Thank you. Thank you. I guess speaking about Bangladesh, we have a very little percentage of tourists, but we have experienced quite a bit of strategic change during and after the pandemic. I think, okay, during and after pandemic, I believe there had been a change. Okay. The domestic travel has gone up 3-4 times more. And what we have got right now is much more of a MICE business, and that's mostly from India on exhibition products and others. So as Dimitri said that you create a product, you do it proper marketing, but I have a question to say, with no offending to the European and North American market. The airfare has gone so high. The travel distance, people love to travel short-haul flights. So domestic travel has increased. Regional travel has even increased more, because if I can come to Nepal within an hour flight and Delhi in 2 hours flight, Sri Lanka 3 hours flight, customer would prefer to do that instead of getting into a plane for 18 hours and land up in North America.
Thank you. Now I'm coming to Nepal. What is your thought on the new products, new offerings, both from the product offering side and from the buyers buying side? What new we can do in this region?
Right. So I think an unified approach to environmental conservation and sustainable practices, keeping in mind the negative impact of environment. So at the moment, the world is facing the climate change. So I think this is something that we really need to focus, and we need to protect and promote natural resources and preserve the culture and heritage. Now, this is something we really need to take seriously, because, the heritage, all these issues have to be addressed very strongly. And then comes the ecotourism. Now the travelers have become so smart, they're educated, they're aware of the situation. So we need to bring about that change on ecotourism. What are we doing about it? Are we just talking? They're not going to be impressed just talking about ecotourism, but we need to have it implemented and put it into practice. So that is something I think we really need to emphasize, and that could, help. And the new generation, the youth are looking for that. They are looking for the homegrown products. They are looking for natural things. So all that we have to keep in mind. Then the well-being, the yoga, the organic food. So all that I think we need to keep in mind, because that is actually the demand of today's travelers. So another thing that I think we need to also focus on is enhancing and upscaling the talents. We need to, give all these trainings to make sure that, the service standards, the quality, the food security, all that, the standardization, all that has to be, focused on. And we also need to be very updated with the data, because without the data, we'll never be able to move forward. So when we are talking about the regional tourism, I think it's so important for us to share the data and see where is the gap that we are facing, what is it that we can increase tourism regionally. And unified marketing, the digital marketing that we all know. So why not explore the regional unified way of marketing, in our region? Then, of course, the environmental, social, and government, the ESG reporting. This is a new thing that has come up. So maybe if we start emphasizing on this, maybe that will also help. Cultural, then, connectivity, of course, is very, very important. I don't think so we have enough flights moving in our region. It's expensive, so the budgeted airlines has to be operating, because we all know and we have to accept the fact that there is an economic crisis all over the world, and people are looking at their pocket before they plan their travel. So budgeted airlines. Then I remember during the 1980s, there used to be a lot of chartered flight, and that would come cheaper. So I think, if we could promote the chartered flight, now that we have the two regional airport, which is the Pokhara and the Bhairava airport, we could connect the regions also. So just not focus on the international airport, but the regional airport. That could also be potential. So there is a lot that we can do, but I still would like to emphasize that climate change and ecotourism is something that we really, really need to look into, because it's a burning issue. And now travelers are very aware that if they are going to travel, if they're going to check into the room, they are going to eat what is on offered to them. All that has to be keeping in mind the climate change and to be responsible citizens of the world. So I think these are things that we need to emphasize and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very insightful thoughts you shared. I also surprised observing that especially between India and Nepal. India is our major source market, but largely we have been promoting what it is there. For example, pilgrimage to Pashupatinath or some other religious sites, few honeymoon packages, few visiting friends and relatives types of packages. In India itself, there is a huge market segment, the very potential market segment regarding adventure also. But that is not connected well as a market. Largely for adventure segment, we look into the European markets only. So within that region also, there is a very niche segment. There might be new segments. So in that line, you mentioned few things like experiential tourism, like spiritual tourism, yoga, retreat, that kind of things also there can be explored and positioned and promote well. Now I'm coming to our friend from Thailand. So in your thought, to promote our tourism within this region, what kind of new attractions or activities that the visitors are looking for in this region, and how we can connect them, engage them? So just share your thoughts.
When was the last time you visited Thailand? That's not very long, right? When was the last time anyone here visited Thailand? Last month. What changes did you actually see in Thailand? Something more on the visual side, something more on the things which you can see around the streets. Cannabis.
Canopy, marijuana.
Cannabis.
Yeah.
It's a taboo, right? Talking about this in such a stage. But if we were to be really honest to ourselves, I've had talks with people who, from India, from Nepal, from my friends from around the world. This year itself, this is not like it's probably not their first time visiting Thailand. They probably went to Thailand maybe 2 or 3 times already, just because of the, how the industry has opened up, right? So there's 2 sides to the coin, right? So on the negative side, some countries still consider cannabis as drugs, right? In Thailand, somehow they're trying to brand it as a cash crop. In terms of the tourist side, you have so many dispensaries opening up, This is not done deliberately for tourism, right? I hope I can still continue to talk about this. This is not done on purpose, but it happens to be some of the byproducts, which somehow is now targeted at tourists. I mean, I know many people who have opened up dispensaries. It's flooded. It has even surpassed the numbers of dispensaries in the States. I mean, Thailand is probably the global hub of cannabis right now, with so many dispensaries being opened up, and many of them are just targeting tourists, nightlife, some things which Thailand is already known for, and they don't have to really push that button or create more brands about it. But that's for the inbound, right? When you talk about this sort of a taboo. Otherwise, right, ecotourism, even they talk about carbon footprint. Getting around Thailand today, if you're using any ride-hailing applications like Grab, they always tell you how much carbon footprint or carbon you're actually giving out. So the emission is being made known to the tourists so that they become a bit more responsible, right? So that is a trend, but that's a global trend. Otherwise, for the Thai tourists getting out of Thailand, again, this is my opinion, it remains the same. Because there has been that urge, there has been that travel bug, which people have been trying to get out of Thailand, to visit Japan, to visit Korea, to visit Taiwan. In the short term, after we have opened up the borders, it still remains that way. Hopefully things will change in the future. People have now started to recognize niche destination like trekking in Nepal as another option. So hopefully they will somehow, diversify their interests.
Thank you very much. I think these days, in looking at the past few years, what we have observed is tourism is, the international tourism is going towards more exotic experiential destinations rather than the very established and traditional destinations. And at the same time, another trend is buy and fly kind of things. Because we can get our tickets in a click, we can book our hotels in a click, but access to the destination, especially the crossing the border, is another key issue while promoting regional tourism. So within our region, from your experience, how do you see our, how open we are, or what kind of improvements we need in this segment? I will start from our friend, Mr. Kure.
So, in Sri Lanka stays, as we are an island, we definitely need the connectivity. So, that is very important that so Sri Lanka has 2 international airports, but one is, and now we have a regional airport in the north of Sri Lanka, where we have direct flights to South India. Plus from India, probably towards the end of this year, there'll be a ferry as well, a daily ferry from Pondicherry to Jaffna. So these type of connectivity definitely, and to our other regional countries like Nepal, Bangladesh, if we can have more airline connectivity, plus to the Southeast Asia is also an important market, Thailand, because Sri Lankans go to Thailand quite a bit, plus we get also quite a bit of Thai tourists who come for the pilgrimages and so on to Sri Lanka as well. So there is a lot of opportunities to develop these, plus introduce different other source markets as well. So definitely moving forward, the more air connectivity, and like how Sahid mentioned, the cost of airfare at the moment is very high, especially if you want to travel to Europe. From our part of the world, it's more than double what it was earlier. And as our currencies have depreciation, so the dollar price has gone up, plus when you convert it into our Sri Lankan rupees, it's 3 to 4 times of what you used to pay last year. So the cost of travel has gone up, and the cost of operations has also gone up in most countries with shortage of labor, shortage, other problems. So, but definitely we need to focus in the region, because as it's a short haul destinations, the flight costs will be less, so we can definitely, there is one of the largest populations also in South Asia, with India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and so on, with very large populations, can help countries like Nepal, Sri Lanka, and others to have more regional tourists.
Thank you. Coming to our friend from Bangladesh, so what is your experience regarding, if any tourists want to travel to Bangladesh, how easy it is to access to Bangladesh? I mean, the visa process-wise or the cross-border issue-wise, what is your experience?
I think Bangladesh has made a headway with communications, roads, highways, culverts. As you know, Podda Bridge has connected the 22 districts of Bangladesh with 2 and 4th. And as I said, the connectivity has become much more easier. We are going one step ahead even. October 1st will be the opening of the third terminal, which is being built at $3.5 billion. So our estimate is as good as 12 low-cost airlines will be given approval to fly 2 and 4th. And obviously, airlines flying means carrying passengers. They take care of them in the sky, we take care of them in the ground. So I see all good indicators of the connectivity, and that too is, these low aircrafts are mostly from Southeast Asian region, as well as some from Middle East. So if you say so, I would say there is a bright and better future of tourism in terms of connectivity, which has been made pretty easy in Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Over the years, what we have seen is within this region, our private sector is very, very mature and well experienced. And the relation between private sector to private sector is very good within this region. But somehow, the government entities and the relevant government organizations are not collaborating in that way. So just share your thoughts how we can bring them together, because tourism cannot be developed in isolation. So is there any efforts, or we should do it more? So what is your experience and thoughts? Just
So I feel in Nepal there's a huge gap between the private sector and the government, because I think the working modality really needs to be improved. Because, our line of ministry is always a tourism ministry, but I don't see that there's enough interaction between the government and the private sector. So that has become a very, very big challenge for the private sector. If we had regular meetings, regular discussion, this is where I think a lot of gaps, happen is we have a meeting. We find out, we come to a conclusion as to what we need to do the short term and the long term. But then we don't give continuity to that. We don't see whether that's been implemented. We don't evaluate what has been discussed. So I feel the end result has never been promising. So that has been the challenge, that the working modality in Nepal is becoming a big challenge. Then for another challenge that we all have is, we all know that Nepal is so beautiful. So, now that I'm in this platform, I would like to, share with everybody that how blessed we are that we have the jungles, then we have the mountains, we have the water, we have the culture, tourism, we have so much. But what is the problem that we have not been able to really increase the number of tourists coming in is, one is the connectivity, which we have a very huge problem. Second is, I think we really have to focus on marketing. We have to be clear about our products. We also have to know about the target group. We also have to be able to partner with the marketing company in the countries that we want to, market in Nepal. We also have to emphasize a lot on our air safety and the road safety. We have to give confidence to the tourists that, they are safe, coming to Nepal, that they are, all the facilities are of, the international standard. And again, I emphasize that we are also focusing on the ecotourism. So these are the challenges that we face. And also, like, the B2B meeting and the G2G meeting, I feel there's a lot of, repetition in, the meetings that we attend. So I think, keeping in mind the economic crisis in the world, I think we should downsize the meetings, I think we should make sure that the meetings are more effective, the outcome is good, and that we give continuity and that we evaluate, and then in the end, that we make a report that how much have we actually achieved. So I think there is a lot of improvement that we need to do in our working modality, working mechanism. And end of the day, it's always the government and the private sector that we have to come hand in hand together. We have a fantastic example of the private-public partnership of Nepal Tourism Board. I mean, now, this is a brilliant example in the Asian region. But it's just that we still have we still have the challenges of implementing the actual, the purpose of this is actually marketing. So end of the day, it's the product. End of the day, it's the connectivity. End of the day, it's the marketing, and to make sure that whatever we sell it as per the international standard. And also, Nepal also has an issue to be known as a cheap destination. That is something we need to now forget. I mean, yes, during the COVID, there were the challenges. We had to cut down our prices, but cutting down the price is not the solution to the problem. It's not the quantity, but I think it's the quality. So with all this in mind, I think we again have a huge potential to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You mentioned we need more meaningful dialogues and action-oriented efforts, not the numbers of dialogues only. Coming to our friend from Thailand, in our region we discuss private sector to private sector relation is so good, but the government sectors, we need to engage them more. From our side, we see Southeast Asian countries doing better in tourism. Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, these all countries are doing good. From our side, we see like that. And then in your experience in that region, how is the cross-country relation between the governments while talking about tourism? Not only the private sectors, I mean the government sector engagement in that region.
So I mean, right now, Thailand is in the middle of forming the government. We just had the election a few weeks back. But let's talk about the things which used to happen then. Having worked with the government, I still feel that they have their work cut short for them, because Thailand is such a strong brand. Thailand itself is already bringing in a lot of tourists, right? During COVID-19, I had the pleasure or the liberty of working with the Thai government to promote remote workers in Thailand, right? So despite the closing of the borders, despite having no leisure tourists coming in, there were still like remote workers who fly in from Singapore, flying in from US or even Europe. There are still movements, in Thailand. It's such a strong magnet in that sense. So people again see Thailand as I would say, I wouldn't use the word cheap, but I would say there's a lot of varieties of products, catered to different level of budgets, right? Now, governments themselves, why did I mention that they have their work cut short for them? It's because on one hand, the private sectors themselves is self-sustenance. They rely on their own effort. It's quite difficult to do marketing. We talk about online marketing. As a practitioner, let's say if I have a hotel and I want to promote this hotel online, I don't really have a choice. If I were to run my own ads on Google, it would not even appear above those OTA ads, right? Agoda, TripAdvisor, and the rest would probably be on top of me. Right? So my budget is going to be just replenished. It's just going to be used up. If I were to use Facebook, if I were to use other platforms, whether it's trying to tap into Chinese tourists or whether to tap into international tourists, I don't really have a choice, which is going to be successful. And that applies not just for the hotel, but also for the tour companies. For the tour companies, if they were to promote something, I mean, that effort is just like a small drop of water in the sea. It's just going to be diluted, the effort, right? So you have to look at things on the demand side. Why are tourists still coming to Thailand? So again, I think we are just lucky. I'm just being really frank. We're just lucky. Thailand's image is already there, whether it's through international films, which people have experienced looking at Thailand from the lenses coming in. The working relationship, the government still act on traditional ways of doing business, which means they host road shows. They still do things like very traditionally. They have like business matching events where you have to fly in people to meet the buyers and the sellers get to meet. But again, like it does not really get into that path of the tourists, the demands. So basically what I'm trying to say is that when tourists consider Thailand as a destination, they have their own customer journey, right? They go onto Google or they go onto like an OTA and then they book. So whatever effort you're trying to push is not going to be present there, right? I mean, realistically speaking. So the rest, I think we're just living on previous things which has been built upon, right? So Thailand, as you know, we still have bookings coming in from agents. I was talking to the gentleman next to me, back on the table, and he said most of the revenues are coming from OTA, right? So OTA are just public sectors. 80% of the revenues are coming from OTA, which means the rest, 20%, is going to be based on yourself, and that's only the place where the government can help. So again, it's quite difficult on how the market has been established. Sorry, I'm just really frank. I just want to have my thoughts being put out clearly here. That's all.
We are almost at the end of last round. Lastly, we would like to share some of the thoughts on about the resilience. Looking at the past few years, the one crisis is temporary, but the crises are permanent. So we have to be ready for the future crisis also. So within the region, what kind of collaboration makes us resilient? So just few thoughts we would like to take from our friend from Sri Lanka.
Well, Sri Lankans are very used to crises a lot, so we have a lot of experiences from, almost 30 years of civil war, the tsunami, then in 2019 we had the Easter Sunday attacks, then of course COVID, which all of us went through, plus last year in Sri Lanka we had the political and economic instability, which of course Sri Lankans are very resilient people, and we have come out of all these challenges, including last year's challenge from where we were 1 year ago. We have come a long way in 1 year, and the government has taken some tough decisions, of course, which are not the most popular decisions, but those decisions were important for the benefit of the country. And if you take, I think regionally as well, Nepal, Bangladesh, all of us have gone through some form of either natural or man-made disasters. So there will be crises in the future as well. There'll be, whether it's natural or man-made, but I think the advantage is, as all of us have some form of experience, we can always rely on each other. And actually with the Pata Nepal chapter as well, and the Pata Sri Lankan chapter, we have been working closely. I know Nepal chapter has been working with the Bangladeshi chapter as well in promoting the destination. So I think these type of bonds are very important, and all of us are in the same industry. All of us want the best possible outcome for our countries and the industry. So it's important that we support each other and work towards a better future for all.
Thank you. Same question to our friends from Bangladesh.
We are actually no exception from Sri Lanka. Added up was with the cyclone. But as he very rightly said that we do man-made crisis and natural calamities both. One of the hurdle that we have gone through, as you all know, Bangladesh GDP growth remained almost static, 6% around during the pandemic, and after that it's picking up. So people are getting used to it. There had been a number of development work happening in Bangladesh, but as we all say that we gave 4 steps ahead and comes back 6 steps behind. Don't forget Bangladesh national election will be held in December or latest January, and as of now, the drumming will start, let's say, within a month or 2, and almost all the tourism business will be directly affected. But this has become part of our life. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question to Nepal, how we can collaborate better during the crisis time.
One crisis I think we are facing at the moment is the brain drain in the country. So this is something we really have to look into it, because we are finding all the youth are leaving the country. So what is it that we need to work on to have them stay back? So this is one of the big challenge that we are facing, and Nepal needs to work on that, and we all are aware of it, but we have a lot of work on that. Secondly, of course, we went through the earthquake, but we bounced back. The COVID crisis came about. We bounced back 50%. So we need to work on how to become less vulnerable to external shocks like natural disasters and the challenges of climate change. We all know that so many things today, due to the climate change, is not something that we can predict, but it's just that how we are going to, prepare ourselves for that. And even during the, COVID situation, Deepak, I'm sure you remember that how the employees and the investors came together in the Hotel Association, and they came with such a fantastic understanding how to, save our industry. And that has been a real example in the country itself, that, in crises like that, it's not the employer, but it's the employee and the employer together, how to come together and manage the crisis. So that had been a very good example. Then, of course, I mentioned earlier also developing required skills is a must. Then embracing digitalization is something that we are doing, but there's a lot of room to improve. Finding a clear purpose, establishing a clear goal, strategy, and action. I think I would just like to limit to these points. We've talked enough on that, but we all know that there's so much that we need to do.
Thank you. Lastly, to Sivekji, what is your thought on building resilience in the region?
I think we do have some sort of a framework or a blueprint in mind that, once something like COVID strikes us again, what are the steps to be taken? But, the more difficult thing is that we don't know what's going to happen, right? Like, these sort of events are called black swan events, where it hit us without us expecting it. It hit us badly with bad impacts. So, you never know. And for me personally, I think long-term planning is pretty much out the window. It's gone. We're living in such a disruptive world. And it might not even be a pandemic. People are talking about how AI has replaced jobs. Right? So you never know what's going to hit us next. It might be a benefit. It might be something of benefits to one particular industry, but a loss for another industry. I mean, I try to keep my goals and I try to keep my plans just short to midterms. It's really no point, difficult to plan so far ahead. But I think there's a strong sense of understanding. Collaboration will be there. We will definitely, be utilizing technology to communicate. So some of the things I think we can actually get our hands on much faster because of what happened during the pandemic. Of course, we will be much more ready compared to what happened this time around.
Thank you very much, eminent panelists. We are already running late, and time is also short, and we are going to wrap up our session here. The key takeaways of today's discussion is, I think, we have to be better in infrastructure side to attract more visitors. And second is, we need to create and curate new experiences so that within the region we can attract new visitors. We need to approach world segments with new attractions so that we can get more value out of it. And similarly, during the resilient time, building better infrastructure and collaboration is key. Coming together is key. And another is to educate and engage government sectors, because in isolation, tourism cannot be developed. So these are the key takeaways I think we discussed today. And it is obviously coming together is growing stronger. So we are here to build better tourism for better tourism foundation. Thank you very much. Thank you.